Griffith Hack also took instructions behind the scenes from a director of patent asset developments and filed the patent application with the Patent Office with a third-party approval under an entirely misleading invention title of security surveillance device. The firm also accepted, and I've got proof of this too, for anyone who wants to see it later during interviews with the press or whatever, or the media, the firm accepted handwritten notes and drawings behind the scenes from the third party and incorporated those third-party drawings into the patent specification of my inventive concept, making it out to me when I was a bit confused and asked them, it was the patent attorney's scribbles. But it wasn't, which I found out much later. Much later, it was Peter Piano's. But I didn't know about his handwriting. The events which followed showed that Griffith Hack set out to murder my inventive concept. A professional advisor firm across Australia, Australia's largest patent attorney, set out to murder its client's concept, together with all of its numerous novel proposals, going so far as to intentionally misrepresent the auto surveillance process idea as a device, and not covering the intelligent chip, radio chip, or anything. The firm rolled every novel proposal, which I found out later requires separate patent applications to cover them, all into one ambiguous invention title of security surveillance device. But remember this term clearly: security surveillance device. You'll be in for a few shocks shortly. Now look at that blown up photograph. Obviously you can't see an embedded radio chip with protocol inside, being electronics, underlying my system. But you can clearly see various components, minus the strobe siren, which of course is just the average strobe siren, except that it had the special module that you can embed into any electronic device in it. But I didn't photograph it because it's just an ordinary siren, and the module was put inside it. All right? But you can see the idea represents a system concept. You know, it's got the main unit, it's got a camera, which is the advanced sensor. It's got the flash unit, but that's only part of the main unit. It's got one sub, of which there can be hundreds, which can take you from here to London and back. So this is representing one of several remote slave units. It's got, you can't see the LCD display because it's gone black in this blow up because the scanner, the person scanning it made a slight error. And it's got the 4-key fob for arming, disarming. But that black-looking unit with the LCD display is what they're talking about as the world's greatest handheld that will be used in all consumer electronics throughout the world, and I'll come to that shortly. This is not a device. These are devices, but they are separate entities. Under any stretch of the imagination, they cannot be referred to as a device. Yet, the professional attorney and advisor puts the application through without my approval, and I've got proof of that, as a device to screw it up once and for all. You can't return, you're sunk. Griffith Hack did this. I repeat, this firm of specialist attorneys, he did not propose or draft any patent specification or specifications, even though I pleaded with them to effect proper patent protection for the revolutionary radio chip, the protocol for the new radio communications protocol, nor did it propose or draft any other specification. The firm did not even propose or draft invention titles, for example, a monitoring system, which it was. A wireless monitoring and control system title, no. An intruder alert system, no. A perimeter security system, no. It did not even write up one title to suggest a process, which is the heart of the matter. Significantly, Griffith Hack intentionally omitted to describe every novel solution and component of my concept that would later be included in the Zigbee home automation profile, and that would also be claimed for Zwave technology. And by the way, Zwave is an Intel portfolio company, the giant chip maker, Intel. Zwave is made by Zensus, a portfolio company of Intel, that's played a clever bugger game and pretended to stay hidden from me, but I found them out. That's the world's leading chip giant. One of the biggest firms of crooks you will ever see. And I say it because I've got proof with me in a bank vault, but I couldn't bring it here today, too dangerous. Now, this professional advisor firm intentionally omitted to fully describe the concept's revolutionary handheld interrogator unit, which was capable of receiving messages from the main system. You see these people there? Every one of the world's leading companies that form Zigbee in 2009 came out with Zigbee RF4CE, a quiet revolution going on, it says. Quiet? Because it's stolen the bloody technology. That's why it's a quiet revolution. They didn't think I'd find that, or they don't care, because they've got money to fight an ordinary inventor. And this professional, returning to the subject, this professional firm of Griffith Hack, it actually resorted to erasing the word messages, because it receives messages, from a drawing as it applied to the handheld, and I discovered it was scanned out or wiped out with white ink, and it's there in which they admitted getting, but it's not there in the specification. They wiped it out because it's messages. They knew it was going to be claimed by the multinationals as receiving messages, they say. Receiving messages, never before seen in history. And Griffith Hack knew, or would have known, or ought to have known, that these people would be hailing the handheld. And I'm not talking about the complete system which they're hailing as the world's best monitoring system that will be doing plant monitoring, water monitoring, forest fire monitoring, eco monitoring, home security monitoring, everything. I'm only talking about one part, the handheld at this point. And the RF4CE claims that it will enable interactive remote controllers that will replace 30-year-old infrared controllers in consumer use worldwide. That's what that company is claiming. I'll skip to page 26 really quick on the same document. I'm a bit unfamiliar with the setup here because they've given it to me, so I hope you understand, people. Look at that last page of their document. I'm trying to get it a bit bigger for you. Look at this. Our RF remotes, mine had both, because I said I want the old RF plus the new, my new, so that it can be used and phased into operation. Now they're claiming, so I'm claiming what they're claiming, because they're claiming mine. Old 30-year-old, and in other documents that I couldn't bring today because it's too many, they say it more clearly in sentence form. I'll show it to you here. Old IR has limited line of sight transmission, field of vision limitations. Remote needs to be pointed at the IR. Unidirectional, unacknowledged transfers of data, which means no acknowledgement. Cannot send information to the remote control. My cursor is there. It cannot, the old ones cannot. Even today, they can't. They're slowly being phased in. My handheld interrogator, which does everything that they're saying, proves it, because I put it in a bank vault, you see, until some good media person in Australia reports my case. I hope there are decent media people in this country. I don't think you'd get crooks in the media, and I don't think you'd get organized crime touching media. I hope not. I will see how that works by the turnout today. You know, the Australian media turnout today will show me how much they care about reporting the truth to the Australian people. Now, This is not bad. I haven't shown you anything. I've got a 2002 letter here from Griffith Hack. I'm skipping all the rest because it'll bore you. I've got a 2002 letter here from Griffith Hack. Rolf van Wollingen's early retirement. And the date, 19th Feb 2002, he says, I'm writing to advise you that as of 30th June 2002, I will cease to practice as a patent and trademark attorney. According to Spruson and Ferguson, senior law partners of Sydney, they said to me when I spoke to them, they said, he is the most experienced patent attorney in Australia and Australia's ever had. I didn't believe them, but they said it's true. Rolf van Wollingen of the Perth office of Griffith Hack, at that time in 2002, had 20 years experience. The letter states, I have advised my partners in the firm that I wish to pursue a change in vocation. It is my intention to enroll as a full-time student at Trinity Theological College in Bull Creek with a view to obtaining a Master of Divinity, and this qualification should enable me to work in some form of full-time Christian ministry, possibly in an overseas context, like the Zigbee Alliance in California. That's what I'm saying, okay? Now, he further down says here, I won't bore you with details, but I'll say this. He says, I would like to take this opportunity. Now, he's addressed it, mind you, not to the partners, to me. Pentessa again is gone, right? Gone. He says, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for the work you have entrusted to us in the past. Not me being simple, I'd entrusted my syringe to them in 1991, and I've discovered that was given out to Unitract. All Australia knows Unitract. The Prime Minister knows about Unitract. They gave them a $25 million grant. And OMI of Queensland also took my idea and was given it by them. He says, naturally, says Rolf, I will do everything possible to ensure that your intellectual property needs are well taken care of after my departure. Knowing what this firm did, could I believe that? I will do everything possible to ensure that your intellectual property needs are well taken care of after my departure. It looks like that's why I've got a full house here today. Well, I hope so. The Australian media, I feel, would have come out in full force to hear this. Let me see what happens. So what happens? On the first day of July 2002, first day, one day after the 30th of June 2002, when he said, my needs will be well taken care of, I find a large brown envelope containing confidential materials in my letterbox. I think my brother might have found it, or I found it, I'm not sure. Sent to me, not by certified mail, by ordinary mail. Patent documents by ordinary mail. It's from Griffith Hack. In this envelope, I find the firm's file materials on security surveillance device. And there's also a forwarding letter telling me Griffith Hack is no longer representing me. I have the letter, but I haven't brought it here because you'll be here for 2.5 months at this conference. It's telling me Griffith Hack is no longer representing me and that I should urgently seek out another patent attorney firm to administer my intellectual property needs. Could I be forgiven for thinking Griffith Hack had promised to look after my needs from the letter of their patent attorney? Coming from the firm, mind you, not from him. Everybody in this room can make up their own minds on that. In case anyone is wondering, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on with Griffith Hack? Let me tell you this. The July 1st, 2002 date of Griffith Hack's letter, extrapolating, was only a few short weeks away from the purported establishment date of the Zigbee Alliance in California. Now, if you're thinking, God, this is bad, man, this is real bad, If I was a Texan, I'd be able to say it with much more emphasis. This is real bad. The Australian government needs to have all partners, I say, of Griffith Hack immediately arrested for being an integral part of an organised crime network. That's right, because I found that their head office became involved in this secretly. So I'm saying all partners of Griffith Hack, not just Rolf van Willingen. And the firm is not just an accomplice, but in fact an integral part of a criminal enterprise. I hope the Australian media will report this to the Australian people, because if they don't, if the Australian media doesn't do this, I can't say anything or do anything about it. I can only put it on YouTube and send it out across the world and ask them, why are you hiding this from the Australian public? Oh my God, you're not part of the organised crime network in Australia. For God's sake, you're not. I know Kerry Stokes, the media magnate, got involved just when my concert was being taken from me, but I hope that won't stop decent members of the media from reporting the facts. I just hope not. Now, I'd like to say this before I forget. You do recall the word cease to practice, right? Well, let me tell you. Rolf van Willingen never ceased to practice. Griffith Hack retained him as their consultant, and I found out about it. They didn't think I would keep checking that I've got a better life to live. He continued to consult for the firm. He never left them until I went to Sydney to see barrister Sophie Goddard, one of Australia's leading intellectual property specialists. And that crooked definition suit against me? No, because I've got facts on my side. That crooked barrister Sophie Goddard tipped off the firm. I said to her, you will not write to this firm. I don't want you to tip them off until you handle my case and if my case is taken on. Otherwise, I don't want them being tipped off. She tipped them off, and I only found out by chance when later I said to her, close my file, give my documents back. Shit hit the fan, and I saw there, she wrote to them, tipping them off. And on that day, he scooted from the firm. On that day of that letter of crooked barrister Sophie Goddard. I'm willing for this barrister to come for me in a defamation suit, and I'll show the evidential documents against this crooked human being from Sydney. Australia's leading intellectual property specialist barrister. They don't come any better, do they? Or any worse, should I say. So Mr. van Willingen never in fact retired. He still practices today. He practices with the firm of Janet Stead, Janet Stead, Janet Stead and Associates of Perth, patent and trademark attorneys. I'm not going to do a Google search right now, but if any one of you felt like it, do it. See, he's working there, his picture in full colors just below her as the principal, Rolf van Willingen. As I told you earlier, I will return to the subject of organized crime and its recruitment of public officials, because that is important. Just like the actions of Griffith Hack, the Commission of Patents and the Patent Office decided to use an axe on me as inventor to make sure the inventor was killed off. For God's sake, look, I might be a migrant, but I'm a migrant Australian inventor. I hope I can say that, because I was naturalized in 1975. I've got the certificate to prove it. I hope I am entitled to say that I'm an Australian inventor and not a piece of dead shit. So the Commission of Patents and the Patent Office decides to use an axe on me. Make sure the inventor is killed off, dead, buried. You want to see it? Let me describe some actions of the federal government's Patent Office. The Patent Office falsely compiled and broadcast on its website, which there is proof, as documented proof, that Alvin Borthwick was sole applicant to provisional patent application PR 7948, even though on the patent application form two names were being forced by Griffith Hack for me to put them and not go alone. You will not go alone. We are going to put both names in, break my monopoly. And then what happens? The Patent Office does the opposite, removes it. If you're wondering why, I will tell you very shortly. This act disassociates my partner, Pentessa Developments, from me. In another instance, a second instance, the Patent Office again omitted Pentessa Developments as joint applicant with me from its official certificate under seal of the Commonwealth of Australia with the ribbon, you know, the big ribbon, in respect to the first application, PR 0391 of September 2000, when in fact the Patent Office had previously compiled and broadcast on its official site that Alvin Borthwick and Pentessa Developments were joint applicants to the matter of PR 0391. You see that copy with the ribbon there? There. I've highlighted it in yellow. A family member who I won't identify was asked by me to ring the Patent Office in disguise and ask them, can someone write that and another person sign it? They said, are you joking? What are you talking about? Never done. These are certificates under seal of the Commonwealth of Australia. Look who attests to it and look who signs it. Now, that's not my main point. The highlighted portion states Alvin Jeremy Borthwick. One name. Even though previously it was broadcast that Alvin Borthwick and Pentessa Developments are joint applicants to that security surveillance device.